Good morning, everybody. Jeremy Brunansky here with Brunansky's Vlog. It's Monday morning, it's 10 a.m. PST, and that means it's time for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog right here on YouTube. Today, we have got a lot to talk about, but I want to make sure that I remind everybody to click subscribe if you haven't yet, and then hit the bell once you do that subscribe button, and that way you can make sure that you get all of the content notified as soon as it drops right there on the YouTube page. Also, be sure you're following us on Twitter at Brunansky's Vlog. Now, we have got a lot to talk about this morning. We've got 2 movie reviews. We've got some news stories. We're going to take a look at Certified Rad and how 2 politicians on opposing sides, their opponents running against each other, they were still able to come together and make something pretty awesome for the folks who attended their debate. So stay tuned for that as well. Also, we're going to take a look at what's hitting theaters this week, what's arriving on DVD this week as well. Now, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed. If you do, give me the thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Also, every Monday at 10 a.m. PST, we have a brand new show that we do right here live on YouTube. So again, if you're new, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell. Also, if you have any interest in starting your own YouTube channel or your own live stream or your own Facebook live show, whatever it may be, down below in the description box, I have thrown a few items that I would recommend for just getting started, just some easy entry-level stuff, some gear to get your YouTube channel or Facebook Live or Twitch stream up and running so you can share your content with the interwebs. So go ahead and check those out as well. And as we go through the show, we are going to be looking at a couple news stories as well as the weekend box office report. And if you want to follow along, all of those links are down below in the show notes. So again, when you click the box to look down at the items I recommended for your own channel, also make sure you're paying attention to those links, because if you want to follow along with the news stories, they are there for you as well. All right, we are going to move into this week's brand new episode now that we got the commercials out of the way. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. Again, thank you so much for joining me this Monday morning right here on YouTube. Let's go ahead now and roll into the news segment. All right, there you go. Down below, you can see it running. That is the ticker tape, and that is honorable mentions. So if you're new to the channel, honorable mentions are just news stories that popped off that I was like, that's pretty cool. But we didn't have enough time to actually get into those topics on this week's show. So we try and keep it around 30 minutes. We try. Sometimes long-winded Jeremy takes over, and we do go past that 30-minute mark, but we try for 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and jump into the weekend box office report. Now, as I said at the top of the show, I got out to see 2 films this weekend, and those films were The Old Man and the Gun, and I also got out to see The Sisters Brothers. Now, if you know me, you know that I often complain about how certain films don't release on time here and where I'm located, and it's super frustrating. So this week, if you watched last week's show, you knew that there was 1 or 2 films coming out this week that I was excited about. Galveston was one, and then Can You Ever Forgive Me was another one that I was actually really excited about. Galveston I was interested in. Can You Ever Forgive Me I was really excited about. Neither of those films were showing anywhere near me, but we finally got The Old Man and the Gun and Sisters Brothers. So I was super pumped that I was able to get out to see those. So stay tuned for my reviews on those movies, because they're going to be dropping later in the show right after the news segment. But let's see in the top 5. Let's see what you guys got out to the theaters to watch this weekend. We're going to take a look from number 5 to number 1. So coming in at number 5, we have First Man at 8,565,000. Coming in at number 4, we have Goosebumps 2 at 9,715,000. Number 3, Venom at 18,105,000. Number 2, A Star Is Born at 19,300,000. And coming in at number 1, crushing with a dominating $77,501,000 for Halloween. Wow. Big weekend for Halloween. Now, both weekends for Venom and Halloween have been pretty impressive for opening weekend, right? Because I don't think anybody saw Venom really doing the big numbers that it did opening weekend. I know I certainly didn't. We've talked about it on the show ad nauseum. But Halloween, big weekend there as well. Now, it's a rated R, right? It is a horror movie. It's Halloween season. The movie's called Halloween, and there's a lot of nostalgia with it. So Should people have expected big numbers from this film? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I certainly wasn't expecting almost $80 million from a rated R horror movie, but we've seen it before in the past, right? When It came out, that did really well. That did big numbers. And so I was curious to see kind of, and this is by Blumhouse, right? So I was curious to see what other films that they've put out that have had big weeks. So we had Get Out. They made over 176 million. Split made over 138 million. And then if you go down, this is overall. And then if you go down, you can see like movies like Paranormal Activity 2, Insidious Chapter 2, Election Year, The Purge. These movies made, $70 to $80 million overall. Well, so far, Halloween has almost made in its opening weekend the same amount of money that Purge, Election Year, Insidious 2, Paranormal Activity 2 made completely. So I'm assuming that Halloween is going to be jumping up for Blumhouse into the top 3. I think it might have a really good shot at knocking out Paranormal Activity, who had a career run of 107 million plus. So I think Blumhouse is doing an incredible job with its franchise, right? You guys know I'm not really a horror guy, like the slasher movies and stuff like that, not my bag. Psychological thrillers, I dig those, but if you're just going to run around and just kill people, what's going on? So you guys know, not super big on the horror movie slasher thing, but Blumhouse is doing a great job with its horror movie franchise. That genre, they've really found their niche, and they are just knocking out of the park as far as dollars are concerned. Also, let's take a look at rated R movies at the box office in general. So out of the top 5, Halloween for opening weekend is already doing big numbers, right? So for opening weekend, the top 5 were The Conjuring at 41 million plus. Paranormal Activity 3 made 52 million plus. The Nun made 53 million plus. Halloween has made 77 million plus, right? And then It, 123 million plus. So Halloween is the number 2 rated R movie for opening weekend that's a horror film. That's incredible. So great job to everybody involved with Halloween. I still don't, even with big numbers, right? I'm not a horror guy, running around just slicing people up, not my bag. But for everybody that likes it, for everybody that likes the horror genre and slasher films and everything else, great job getting out and supporting your film. You guys really showed up in force this weekend. And hopefully, from what I can see here online, it looks like it paid off. It looks like they delivered a quality product for you guys as fans. So great work in general, overall, to everybody who was involved with the Halloween remake. So real quick, let's just take a look at the top 5, right? Star is Born, Venom. These films you can check my reviews out for on the movie review playlist channel. It's available. Check it out. I really liked A Star is Born. I'm glad to see that that is actually beating Venom in the box office. If you've seen the last couple episodes between Venom, I just am still confused at how this movie is making as much money as it's making. But again, just like Halloween, there are people who really like it. It's not for me, but there are people who really like it, and they're getting out and supporting it. So that's awesome. Star is Born, though, really good film. Definitely check it out. Venom, I wouldn't recommend it. I think you can just skip it and catch it on like your preferred streaming service, or pick it up on Redbox or something once it's available on DVD. Goosebumps 2 staying at number 4. Last week it was at number 4. This week it's at number 4. So 2 weeks it stayed at number 4. So job well done there. And First Man coming in at number 5. Not bad. Again, if you watched, last week's episode where we talked about some of the controversy, I think that really hurt the film. But it's still in the top 5 in its second week, so that says something. Real quick, just rounding out the top 10, Old Man and the Gun coming in at number 10. Really happy about that, and you'll hear why later. Then we had Bad Times at the El Royale, Night School at number 8, Smallfoot at number 7, The Hate You Give at number 6. Now, Smallfoot, Night School, Bad Times at the El Royale, Venom, and A Star is Born. All of those movies I've seen and reviewed on the movie review playlist. Check it out. The Old Man and the Gun, that's coming to you here in just a little bit. But that's it right there. That's your top 10. That's your weekend box office. There's a little bit of something for everybody. Horror fans, people with kids, right, going out to see Smallfoot. Then you got Bad Times at the El Royale, The Old Man with the Gun. Movies for the people who like artsy or a little bit kind of unique style films, right? There's a little bit of something for everybody. First Man, based on a true story. The Old Man and the Gun, based on a true story. Venom, Goosebumps 2. A little bit of something for everybody, and it looks like everybody got out to the theaters this weekend, which is super cool. All right, let's move into the first news story of the day. And again, all of these down below in the description box. Check them out. This is coming to us from The Hollywood Reporter. And this is looking at a possible change in how we watch movies. Now, right, obviously, we've upgraded our sound systems in movie theaters, right? The projectors, right, they aren't reel to reel anymore, right? They're high quality digital projectors, but this is stepping out completely different. This is a brand new way to watch movies. It's not a projector. This is Samsung creating a gigantic LED cinema screen. So when I say gigantic, it's about 34 feet, and it's an LED, got the notes here. It's an LED screen that is pieced together with smaller panels. So in the event that, like, you know, there's a thing that goes out, right? Because if you've got a TV, you know that sometimes the pixels, everything will go out and you've got little black dots on the screen. So in the event that something would like happen at the movie theater where all of a sudden the screen's not working, you just pop the panel out and you can put a new one in. So you always have to worry about that. But another thing that they talk about in the article, which I think is interesting, is the sound system has to be changed as well, right? Because you can put the speakers behind the screen, but with LED panels, you can't really do that. So you have to create a brand new sound system. You have to create a brand new theater experience. And I'm not entirely sure about LED panels or basically a giant TV in the theater, but I think it could be cool. Now, if it works and they figure out a way to kind of get the sound system to where it should be, right? So we don't have any loss in fidelity as far as the sound is concerned, I think it could be really cool. You have a sharper image, you've got brighter colors, more contrast. I think it could really be nice for us as moviegoers. But again, they've got to rework the sound. They talked about the 7.1 surround sound system in here that had mixed reviews when they were kind of showcasing it. So that's not really what you want to hear. But again, it's a new technology, so you can always expect bumps and hiccups on new tech, right? You got to work it out, R&D it, test it, bring it back to the lab, rework it, send it back out. Lots of stuff to work with. And then also it talks about the price point, right? So a digital projector, top of the line laser projector, costs between $150,000 to $300,000. These new screens cost anywhere between $500,000 to $800,000 and that's for a movie theater, per theater. So that's pretty big money when you look at how much it would cost to actually install that, right? So I remember when Star Wars was re-released and they had to get these special the digital projectors, right, that George Lucas wanted, but there's only a few of them that were actually like released throughout the United States at that time because it was big money. Right now it's more affordable, so more theaters have it, but right now with this new tech, it is more expensive. So I'm curious to see how well this is going to be implemented in other theaters, considering you can't just put the screen up and then be done, right? You got, like I said, you got to put a whole new sound system in. So you got to rework your sound system. You got to rework the acoustics. It's going to be a lot of work. So I'm curious to see kind of how this gets implemented, if this gets implemented, and then how well received it is. Because, like I said, better colors, sharper image, more contrast, right? Everything looks truer to color. And I think it could be really cool if it's done right. But new screens, got to redo all the acoustics in the theater because you got to put new speakers in with new sound, everything else. Lots of money, big investment right now. So I'm curious to see how it's going to work. Let me know, would you be interested in going to a theater that has these giant LED screens from Samsung, right? Would you be interested in testing that out? Would you want to be part of a market research product test group? Throw your comments in the comments section below. Let us know. All right, next story is coming to us from Deadline. And Don Johnson is not just the only one who's possibly going to be in this film or is in this film, but he is right now in talks for Rian Knives Out. Now, this is going to be a movie that is a detective piece, and I'm trying to find really quick here in the article all the different people that are in it. Now, Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Michael Shannon, Lakeith Stanfield, as well as Ana de Armas. These are all people that are going to be in this new cop drama or detective story that Rian Johnson is wanting to put out. Now, I'm not quite sure what role Don Johnson would have in this. We don't really have much on the story. We don't really have a plot synopsis or anything like that. It looks like it's just going to be a detective mystery that Rian Johnson wants to put out. Now, before you freak out and you're like, Rian Johnson, that's the Star Wars guy, that's Last Jedi, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your feelings were about Last Jedi, that's fine. What you need to do is you need to go back and you need to check out Looper. Looper Looper. I've thrown a link for it down below. It's an Amazon link if you want to pick it up. Definitely recommend Looper. In fact, one second here. Everything's alphabetical, so it should be easy to find. But this film, it's on this side. Hold on. This film is pretty incredible. And it's got a really great cast. So if you haven't yet seen this, let me go ahead and just, there you go. Boom. Right there. If you haven't seen this yet, definitely recommending Looper. Great sci-fi movie. Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's like a time travel, really great stuff. When Rian Johnson was announced to do Star Wars, I was super excited because of how good this movie is. And he was the one responsible for that movie. So check out Looper. Definitely recommend it. But here we go. As far as this movie is concerned, I don't know what Don Johnson's role would be kind of in this story, right? With the cast, though, the cast is pretty great. So you have, if Don Johnson comes on board, you've got Don Johnson, who's currently working on HBO's The Watchmen series. So you've got Don Johnson, Chris Evans, Daniel Craig, Michael Shannon, Lakeith Stanfield, and Ana de Armas. Now, that's a really great cast, right? That's super stacked. Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Lakeith Stanfield. And then just to kind of top it all off, you bring in the talent of Don Johnson, right? Get him back on stage, get him back on screen, let him shine, let his personality come through. And then on top of that, you throw Michael Shannon in the mix. And Michael Shannon is a huge talent who always delivers A+ performances. So I'm pretty excited about the idea of this, even adding Don Johnson. I think it could be kind of cool, right? So if he shows up in a suit with no socks, boom, I'm in. Sign me up. This could be great. Digging it. Hope you guys are too. Let me know. Did you see Looper? Are you excited about Don Johnson being in a Rian Johnson movie with this incredible cast? Let me know in the comments below. All right. Coming up next, this is coming to us from The Wrap. And this is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right? His new movie, The Jungle Cruise, over at Disney. This got pushed back 9 months. 9 months. Wow, right? So he announced on Twitter, right? You guys probably saw it. Him and everybody else involved in the movie with Disney, everything. They're all posting about film production wrapping, right? So he had these little video clips. He had photos of him and Emily Blunt. Like, they're all up there kind of showcasing that they're done with filming. Now I can go into edit and post and everything like that. So really cool stuff. Got our hopes up that we're getting ready to be seeing some really cool trailers and, you know, some other images maybe from the set and from the kind of more produced photos, right? Instead of just like camera phone photos. But definitely excited about this. And then the news drops that it's getting pushed back 9 months. So it's being moved all the way to July 24th of 2020. And then also in the article, it talks about how there was an untitled Marvel movie that was previously set for that weekend after the Jungle Cruise's new date. So now that the Jungle Cruise is coming out July 24th, there was an untitled Marvel movie scheduled for July 31st. And we can now speculate that maybe that untitled Marvel movie, right? They announced they're going to be making Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Maybe there was going to be something that kind of tied into the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy series, right? Because you know how Marvel, each film is its own film, but they all interconnect, right? So, I mean, was that going to be something that connected to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? And because that's not really on the front burner right now, it got pushed to the back burner. Maybe they kind of have to reshuffle, and now this is what we're going to be seeing because of that adjustment. I don't know. I'm kind of bummed that we have to wait until next summer now to see The Rock and the Jungle Cruise, because I thought this looked like it could be a really fun movie. Disney does good stuff. The Rock does good stuff. The cast in it is really good. So I was pretty pumped about this. And to hear now it's getting pushed back 9 months, I'm like, well, that's a bummer. Now we got to wait forever. But, you know, I'm more curious about what that Marvel movie was and why the adjustment. Did they move it back because of everything that's going on with Marvel Studios and that film slate and how everything is kind of getting adjusted because of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Did they look at it and they go, look, we just aren't going to have the movie that we thought we were going to have for that time slot. Let's give The Rock another summer blockbuster, because we know he can deliver summer blockbuster numbers, right? So let's give him another summer blockbuster since we now have this open slot. And that way, you know, we're not really taking as much of a hit, right? Disney is still different than Marvel Studios, but all the money funnels up to the Mouse House. So maybe it was a strategic play there to kind of ensure that they don't lose their summer spot with a big tentpole film. That's kind of where I'm leaning because of everything that it says here, just with that adjustment taking place for the Marvel movie. So I'll have to wait and see. Still bummed that we have to wait a longer period of time to get this new Jungle Cruise movie. But, you know, as long as it's better than that Haunted Mansion movie that came out forever ago with, I think it was Eddie Murphy, I'll be happy, right? So Jungle Cruise, push back 9 months. Let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you enjoy these movies that they're making based on rides? Did you enjoy the Pirates of the Caribbean films or just one of them? Let me know, what do you think about Disney creating live action films from their rides? Throw it in the comments section below. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and move now into the movie review segment. Like I said, this weekend, I got out to see 2 films, and that was The Old Man and the Gun, Robert Redford, great stuff. Spoiler alert. And The Sisters Brothers, also great stuff. So you guys, stay tuned after these reviews are over. Don't go anywhere because we're going to be right back. I'm going to give you my top 10 films of the year so far, because right now we've done over 70 movie reviews on this channel for what was in theaters. So I'm going to give you my top 10, and then we're going to talk about what's hitting theaters, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray this week, and finally, certified rad. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back, and here are your movie reviews: The Old Man and the Gun and The Sisters Brothers. Be right back. Based on mostly a true story, we explore the autumn years of a few bank robbers who have a certain level of notoriety. One of the robbers in particular is considered by those who meet him, who he robs, to be a charming and happy thief. And that's the story that this character focuses on, mostly. So, does The Old Man and the Gun deliver on the humor and mostly true story hinted at in the trailers? Or should we signal life alert for this film? Let's talk about it in this review. The story regarding Forrest Tucker, the happy gentleman bank robber, played by Robert Redford, is mostly true. In fact, at one point during this film, we get to take a look back at some of the earlier times in his life where he was arrested and how he managed to escape several prisons that were trying to reform him. During that montage, there is a scene from one of Robert Redford's earlier films. This is way back in the day when he was a young man in his prime, and I can't seem to place the name of that film even today. If you saw the film and you know the name of that one scene that they used in the montage from one of his earlier films from his earlier works, go ahead and leave that in the comments section below. It's driving me bonkers. Thanks in advance. Okay, back to this film. Redford delivers a wonderful performance of a man who understands what he's passionate about in life, and also a man who wants to live life to the fullest. In fact, I think there's an argument to be made that this film might actually be about following your passion and your heart, even if that means becoming a bank robber. Redford delivers all of the emotion of a man late in life who has accepted what his life is and embraces it with a smile. Here we find a man who wants to feel alive and not just be alive. And so, as we see in this film, his whole life he has set out to feel the excitement that life gives you when you're following your heart. Except in this case, he's charming bank managers, he's charming bank tellers as he's robbing them. And he also seems to find a certain level of enjoyment regarding high-speed chases with police officers after he's robbed the banks. And as we find out, he just has to smile every time he's concocting a new plan for how he's going to escape whatever jail he's currently being held in. From his perspective, he is living life to the fullest, and Redford delivers every single ounce of believability in his performance. This film does a great job of exploring one particular period in a man's life. Now, as I just stated, we do get to go back and we see the montage of his life, but that is just a very, very brief moment in this film. The majority of time that we spend in this film with Tucker, he is working with 2 other men. He has a team of 3, him and 2 other partners. And those partners are played by Danny Glover and Tom Waits. And over the years, they've worked out a system that gets them into the banks and out discreetly and quickly. And to really drive this point home, to really showcase their talents, in one scene, a cop played by Casey Affleck is actually in the bank as they're robbing it, and he is completely unaware. Him and his team are just that good. And you guys all know the saying, right? It's not a job when you love what you do. And this trio really appears to love what they do. In a moment though, there is a twist, and we see Forrest meets Jewel, played by Sissy Spacek. And the bond that develops between the 2 of them kind of gives you hope that the fondness they seem to have for each other might actually be the trick to reform Forrest and get him out of that bank robbery lifestyle. Love conquers all, right? Right. and Tucker loves robbing banks. So the complex and complicated relationship that develops between Tucker and Jewel is filled with charm and heart and humor. But just like sailors are always called back to the sea, Tucker is always called back to the nearest bank. So because of that, we get to experience a beautiful but difficult or complex relationship develop between the two of them over the course of the film. The Old Man and the Gun is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. This movie was shot with a perfect vintage look. The way they do the close-ups, the way they use angles, the colors in this film. It all just looked like yesteryear, and that was awesome. Plus, we get some wonderful performances out of the cast in this film to really make this movie feel authentic. And I think that was really important because this movie is based on a real life story with real life people. And this review wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention the score of this film. It's a delightful but subtle jazzy composition that just kind of floats underneath all of the scenes, just kind of moving things along, really just building into the world that this film takes place in, just maintaining that theme of charm. And because of all of the reasons that we've discussed in this review, The Old Man and the Gun is getting all the high fives from this guy. The Old Man and the Gun is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. It's the Wild West. It's Oregon. It's a team of assassins who happen to be brothers, hot on the trail of their next contract kill. As the clock ticks down, the man who hired them has doubts that they'll be able to deliver on time, and more trouble ensues. There's never a moment to rest, as trouble is always hot on their trail. So, does the Sisters Brothers deliver on the Wild West dark humor hinted at in the trailers? Or is this film just a rootin' tootin' yee-haw big old waste of time? Let's talk about it in this review. The story takes a look at two brothers who are assassins. Eli, played by John C. Reilly, and Charlie, played by Joaquin Phoenix. They've been hired to find gold prospector Herman Kermit Worm, played by Riz Ahmed. In addition to finding him and killing him, they've also got to extract a new formula for gold prospecting that he has come up with. However, they won't be doing this job alone, and they have to enlist the help of a tracker, John Morris, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. The idea here is pretty simple. All they have to do is track, capture, torture, and kill Mr. Worm, then return back home with the formula to collect the bounty. Except in this story, things do not go exactly as planned. The formula works, and once that's realized, it's also realized that there's more money to be made in collecting gold than simply by returning home with the formula to collect the bounty. But again, in this story, things never go exactly as planned because we find out that too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. A very, very bad thing. Quite terrible, actually. The story paints a fantastic picture of what life was probably like in the 1850s in Oregon. As the Sisters Brothers move from town to town, we get to see life in several different avenues, from small towns with tents all the way up to the big city of San Francisco eventually. And then in each of these different camps in these towns and then city, we get to see all the different types of people that inhabit them. From your local grocer to the bartender, call girls to the house mom, gamblers, doctors, and more. Every town we visit has something to offer and someone to kill if you mess with the brothers. So while this film does have a more casual and relaxed pace to it, there's still plenty of danger, plenty of action, plenty of humor throughout. Overall, just to kind of summarize everything, the story is about two brothers who are trying to complete one last job and then transition into a different lifestyle. As well as through it all, they're trying to come to terms with their late father's habits and how that may or may not impact their lives and decision-making abilities. And they don't exactly see eye to eye on what that next chapter or what their next phase of life should be. And for me, in my opinion, that's where this story really, really shines. The believability of the brotherly bond that Phoenix and Riley deliver in this film. The way they talk to each other. The way they react when one of the brothers isn't acting exactly the way they think the other one should. How they support one another and look out for each other. They deliver a believable brotherly bond. And by the end of the film, we find out that once all the running and gunning is done, even bad boys love their mama. There was what I felt to be a genuine bond between the characters, which really elevated my enjoyment and my appreciation of this film to that next level. The Sisters Brothers is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. If you enjoy westerns like me, You'll probably really dig this story, and it might even make it into your top 10 favorite westerns. You're a movie fan, right? You should have lists. Anyway, the brothers in this are great, and all of the extra characters that are in this film deliver great performances too, that add nice layers of complexity while the brothers try and deal with what is right and what is wrong in their situation. I absolutely did laugh way more than I thought I would, and to top it all off, there are some incredibly beautiful shot scenes. For example, we've got one scene where Joaquin Phoenix is just hand rolling a cigarette, and then he lights it up and takes a couple puffs as he's talking directly to the camera, and his face is only half lit. Great scene, beautifully shot. It's really short, but it's pretty great. However, finding one thing in this film to adjust or change would just simply be the amount of time in this film that we get to know and the characters are developed for Mr. Warm and Mr. Morris. By the end of the film, I realized that their story isn't really as important as I thought it was going to be, and all of that screen time that we have developing these characters and getting to know them, I felt really didn't pay off by the time the movie ended. So because of that one critique against it, this film won't be able to get all the high fives. So the Sisters Brothers will be getting both high fives from this guy instead. The Sisters Brothers is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. All right, and we're back. All right, hope you guys enjoyed those two reviews. That was The Old Man and the Gun and The Sisters Brothers. Both of them, as you just heard, definitely recommending you guys check out. Both really good. All right, we are going to go ahead and move now into the last bit of the show here. We're going to take a look at what's hitting theaters, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray, certified rad, as well as we are going to look at my top 10 films that I've seen and reviewed this year. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's hitting theaters this week. All right, coming out in theaters this week, we have Hunter Killer, Johnny English, Indivisible, and Suspiria. All right, out of these four films, the one I am most excited for is going to be actually Hunter Killer, because it looks like it's going to be just a really good action movie that doesn't take itself too seriously and just embraces that whole movies for guys who like movies kind of vibe. Johnny English looks like it's going to be kind of a fun, turn your brain off spy comedy. Indivisible is based on a true story. And Suspiria, that looks like it's going to be just wild drama craziness from what I can gather in the trailer. Not quite sure how to feel about it, but it definitely looks like wild craziness from the trailer. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's hitting DVD this week. In DVD, we've got Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and Sorry to Bother You. Out of these two films, I'm looking forward to seeing both. I enjoyed Mamma Mia. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed all of the acting in it. So Here We Go Again, I did want to see in theaters, but I believe I was out of the country when that hit theaters, so I missed it. And then Sorry to Bother You, I'm looking forward to seeing this as well. Looks like it's going to be kind of like a dark comedy drama, and that definitely has me interested. So there you go. There's the two films coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now, really quick before we jump into the last segment, which is Certified Rad, at my top 10 films that I have seen and reviewed this year. Now, as you heard at the top of the show, sometimes movies come out in New York or LA or select markets, maybe Chicago, and then like a month later, I get them here in my market, right? It's not great. So some of these movies on the list, they may have come out in December of last year, but I didn't get to see them until January of this year. So there you go. They made my top 10 for the films that I've seen and reviewed this year. So we're going to do two honorable mentions at the end of it as well. So here we go. Top 10 in no particular order. These are films I have seen and reviewed this year. They are on the movie review playlist. If you want to hear my full thoughts on them, go ahead and check them out. But Phantom Thread, Hostels, Isle of Dogs, A Quiet Place, Avengers Infinity War, Upgrade, Crazy Rich Asians, The Old Man and the Gun, Sisters Brothers, and then coming in at number 10, I was debating on this one or another one, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to this one. That's Annihilation. So just real quick, my top 10 films I've seen and reviewed this year are Phantom Thread, Hostels, Isle of Dogs, A Quiet Place, Avengers Infinity War, Upgrade, Crazy Rich Asians, The Old Man and the Gun, Sisters Brothers, and Annihilation. Now I have two honorable mentions that I'm going to throw out. One really surprised me. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I really enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one had a lot of charm and a lot of heart. And so I was looking forward to seeing the second one, but the second one literally just blew my brain away at just how wonderfully told the story was, how good the characters were, and just how charming things were in general. And that was Paddington 2. So Paddington 2 gets an honorable mention. And then the second honorable mention goes to a documentary, and that was the Mr. Rogers documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor? All of these films, again, if you want to hear my full thoughts on why they made my top 10, you can go ahead and check them out in the movie review playlist. There you go. All right, we're going to go ahead and move now into the last segment, and that is Certified Rad. So if you're new to the channel and you aren't familiar with what Certified Rad is, Certified Rad can just be an item or a news story or a piece of gear, like a tech gear. It can be a book. It can be a story about people helping people. Whatever it is, if I find it, if you send it to me, I'll look it over. If it's rad, we certify it rad every week right here on this channel. So this week for Certified Rad, the article down below in the description box, coming to us from the folks over at the Good News Network. And this is two opposing political candidates recently ended one of their debates on an unexpected high note. So Zach Mayo and Republican candidate Lucy Rogers are running up in Vermont for a state house seat. And what happened is they decided after the debate was over, right? They got together and they said, we need a couple extra minutes after the debate is over. And what did they do? They attempted to, and there's two, and they wanted to, well, hold on. Both of the politicians have been attempting to visit each one of the 2,000 houses in their county. So not only were they like doing the debate, but they're also going house to house, right? They're knocking on doors. So these guys are putting in a lot of time. And then they decided they needed a couple extra minutes at the end of the debate. So after they've already been doing all this work, they still found time to do this for everybody who was at the debate. And this was at their local library. What they did is Mayo pulled out a guitar and Rogers pulled out her cello. And together they sang what they refer to as an emotional rendition of Society by Eddie Vedder. It says voters were so touched by the performance, many said that it had become a turning point for them in the election. So when you have two opposing candidates running against each other, but they still somehow manage to kind of put politics aside and sit down and create something for the voters and create something nice that's separate from politics for the people at the debate, you can guarantee that stepping outside of the box, looking at somebody who's your opponent and still saying, we can still create something good out of this, you can guarantee that that is certified rad. So check it out. That is coming to us again from the Good News Network. All those links are in the description box below. All right, everybody. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. That's it for this week's Brunansky's vlog. We are just a couple minutes over this week, so we're actually doing a little bit better, I think, than normal, which is nice, but long-winded Jeremy did take over. Thanks again, everybody. I hope you're able to enjoy all the films that are out this week, both on DVD and in theaters. Hope you enjoyed the show. Again, if you did, give me the thumbs up. The thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. And also, again, if you're new to the channel or if you just haven't yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the notifications once new content drops. All right, everybody. Thanks again. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week right here on YouTube, 10 a.m. PST, to talk more movies, movie news, reviews, and more. Until next time, and as always, good night and good luck. Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Brunansky with Brunansky's Vlog, and you've just finished watching another brand new episode right here on YouTube. Did you enjoy it? Oh, you loved it. Fantastic. Since you loved it so much, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications when new content drops. For example, I made a short film, and you can check it out right over there, and any other number of things, DVD reviews, movie reviews, etc. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST right here on YouTube. Take care. Bye-bye.